as we are joined by the great Chad Graff from The Athletic. We were just talking about it during the break. First time he's covered a good football team in a while, so it's nice to have him, some high spirits as we get ready to give out some midseason awards. Chad, how you doing?
Doing well. Not really sure how to cover a really good team. This is going to be a different environment for me, but God, it's fun to be sitting here in mid to late November talking about a really good team.
Yeah, it's a new experience for all of us, I think. I came in 2022, and it's been 4-12 seasons, 4-13 seasons ever since. So it's very nice to see some winning football late into the year, like you mentioned. I wanted to get your biggest overall takeaway from this experience. Just covering the team, seeing some of the development that we've seen, obviously, out of guys like Drake May, some of the rookies that have come in and really kind of set them over the top. And then, obviously, Mike Vrabel being kind of the head honcho and running the show the way he knows how.
To me, it's really twofold. One is kind of the obviousness of, oh my God, how good is Drake May? This is crazy. Like, even in the wildest dreams, I think the most optimistic people were like, if Drake May can be the 12th best quarterback this season, probably a win. Instead, he's like second, third, first, depending on how you want to look at it. So that's the obvious of what sticks out. But then what sticks out beyond that is the way that Drake May is elevating so many other pieces of this team. The way that the Patriots, a team that, thinking about those 4-13 seasons, how bad they were with explosive plays, how they could never hit anything deep, how they have become one of the most explosive offenses in the league is mind-blowing. The fact that Drake May's play, and yes, there's development on Kayshon Boutte's part too, but the fact that Kayshon Boutte is like a borderline Pro Bowler is crazy compared to what we've seen in recent years. And so there's so many aspects of it, but what sticks out to me most is obviously Drake May and then the passing game accompanying that.
You mentioned Drake May, and I think I can speak for all of us. We're going to give out the midseason awards. MVP is the first one. I think we all have Drake May as the MVP. So beyond being the Patriots team MVP, I'll start with Khalin, I guess. Make the argument of why he should be in the conversation to be the MVP of the NFL.
I mean, stats don't lie. Keagan, the QB passing stats overall, he is top 3 in the majority of those categories, has the most passing yards if that's what you want to look at. But also just the way that he is in just such command of this team. And obviously, the MVP, a lot of that is determined on what happens from Thanksgiving on. We're going to see what happens from Thanksgiving on. Keagan, we already chatted about the schedule. But I think Drake May is becoming a superstar right in front of our eyes, and that's amazing to see. I know, Chad, you just kind of mentioned that. So overall, for the Patriots, he's the MVP. And then talking about the league MVP, I don't think there is one player that is more important to their team right now than Drake May is to the Patriots. I think the only potential other player is Jonathan Taylor for the Colts, because without Taylor, I don't think that Colts team is winning nearly as many games as they've won so far. But again, without Drake May, where would the Patriots be elevating everyone else? We talked about the wide receiver core a lot throughout this season. Of course, the additions of Diggs and the additions of Mac Hollins, but this is a Stephon Diggs coming off an ACL tear that's turning 32 next week. This is a Mac Hollins that has had a few good games and a few good plays in his career, but has never really been the consistent deep threat or the consistent intermediate area target that he has been this season. Drake May finding those guys in space, being able to elevate those guys is huge. And, MVP is most valuable player. You got to be good in the playoffs. You got to be good down the stretch. Right now, I don't think there's any player as valuable to their team as Drake May is to the Patriots. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily the way that this thing is adjudicated always, because Drake May is not the big name just yet. He's not the Mahomes, the Allen, the Lamar just yet, but he is getting there. So I think he is. I don't know if it's going to be, adjudicated at large like that just yet, though.
Where are you in that conversation, Chad? Do you think he deserves it, or do you think there are some other guys who are kind of up there above him in the race?
Entering the weekend, I had him third behind Stafford and Darnold. And then, neither of them played particularly all that well in that matchup together, which was so fun and exciting to watch. And so I still think Stafford is probably the front runner, given, you shouldn't hand out awards like this on a legacy basis. But also, if we're being honest, I think there's a lot of voters who would look at it and be like, whoa, Stafford's never won an MVP. Like, let's fix this, since he's playing so well right now for a Rams team that's probably the best in the NFC. So I think Stafford is probably the favorite, but it's such a good point that Stafford is not as important to the Rams, despite being incredible and for how good he is, as Drake May is important to the Patriots. Like, you take Drake May off the Patriots, we're talking about a 4-13 team again. Stafford is incredible and having an unbelievable year. You take him off the Rams with Sean McVay, with Puka Nacua, with that defensive line, they probably get 8 wins now. Maybe they're even a playoff team. And so Drake May just matters so much to the team. What's interesting to me, thinking about who would be the MVP and just knowing and assuming we would all have Drake May as the Patriots MVP, I don't know who would be like second place MVP if you're talking about a Patriots midseason award. Is it Stephon Diggs for the way that he's transformed that wide receiver group? Is it Milton Williams for the way that he's played up front? Is it Robert Spillane for the way that he's just racking up tackles at that middle level and producing such a good run defense? Is it Christian Gonzalez? Is it even Jalen Hawkins who's playing really good at safety? Like, I don't know that there's an obvious number 2 choice for the Patriots at MVP, which I think is an interesting discussion.
And real quick, just to jump in, Chad, I think that's a good thing for this Patriots team. I mean, that's what Mike Vrabel wants. He wants everyone to be contributing. He wants, if you're asking who's the MVP or the number 2, for 8 names to be on that list, right? That's amazing for this Patriots team to have that depth, to have that versatility, and for everyone to excel in their specific roles. And, obviously in the Diggs conversation, not necessarily care about all the stats, not necessarily care if he's not getting 15 targets a game like he did when he was in Buffalo. Being bought into the system, excelling in your role, that's being an MVP on this Patriots team, because this is a mature team that cares about what matters.
And we talked about, obviously, Chad mentioned 3 free agent signings to top that list of the number 2 in the MVP race. So let's get into it. The best free agent signing for the Patriots this year. Chad, who is that to you?
I go back and forth between 2, being Robert Spillane and, surprisingly not the guy that they made the highest paid player in franchise history, which I think you can make a case for. But I go back and forth between Spillane and Stephon Diggs. And, while I was kind of torn between the 2, I'm going with Diggs. This is a team that's 9-2 because of their offense, because of this passing attack, frankly. Like, all of their offensive numbers are really good. It's because their passing numbers are elite, like top 5 level. And so Stephon Diggs has been a big part of that. But it's more to me than just his production. It's the way that he's like lifted up the rest of this wide receiver group. It's crazy to think about, as we talk about what it was like to cover those 4-13 teams. Remember the wide receiver groups of like a year ago and the Instagram posts and the drama and like, what is Javon Baker talking about and what's happening? Like, it was just Jalen Polk was saying stuff. Like, it was not a super functional group of wide receivers. And I don't think it's just because of Stephon Diggs, but I also think that he plays a meaningful role in why that's turned around. So I'm going with Diggs there.
Yeah, KJ Osborne, one of the most mild-mannered human beings I've ever met in my life, was losing it by week 12. He was not having a good time in that wide receiver room. So I know you feel the same way, Colin, about Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep there. I could do devil's advocate and talk about Spillane, but I mean, Stephon Diggs, what he's added to this team, regardless of his stats, has just been amazing. Stepping up, being a leader, exemplifying everything that Mike Vrabel is trying to build, the culture that he's trying to build, and then Josh McDaniel, what he's creating on offense. And look, Stephon Diggs is a superstar wide receiver. Do the Patriots beat the Bills without Stephon Diggs having that extra edge against Buffalo? I don't think so. I think Stephon Diggs really, really propelled that team with that amazing 33-yard catch late in the game, where he scrambled with Drake May on the sideline to make that completion and set up what ended up being the best win of the season so far. And look, just being able to move the chains. He has 32 first down receptions this season. He's one of the top 5 receivers against man coverage this season. He's excellent on third downs. He's always in the right spot. And also just being able to lift up, like you said, Chad, this wide receiver room is an unlimited potential type thing that Stephon Diggs has unlocked here with New England. I think he's the best free agent signing because of that, and also just because of what he's been able to provide, not being at 100%. Remember, he started off this season on a snap count. He was at 50% snaps, 60% snaps. Now he's getting up there to the 70s and the 80s. So once he gets fully unlocked, I think it's even going to be a better story for New England.
I think a large portion of the fan base would agree with both of you. Obviously, Milton Williams is up there as well. Given the money that they gave him, and for him to step up and be worth every dime is very impressive, in my opinion, because he came from a situation where he was like the number 4 defensive tackle, and he was a situational pass rusher for a large portion of last season in Philadelphia, and then he steps up and he's been one of the best defensive tackles in football. So I'll mention him, and Kairos Tonga, just for the bang of your buck. He does everything. He's played special teams. He's played on offense a few snaps. I think that experiment's probably dead at this point, but it was nice seeing him out there a little bit, and he's been great defensively as well. So bang for your buck. That's a good option as well. What about most improved player for you, Chad? Because Drake May's the obvious choice, but outside of that, I think there have been a lot of success stories for guys who were on those 4-13 teams and that have now helped this team have success.
There have, and I think Kayshon Boutte's probably the obvious answer. I'm going to let one of you two take Kayshon Boutte. I'm going to take this in a different direction. I'm actually going to go with Jalen Hawkins. Like, Jalen Hawkins was kind of a fringe guy last year, a backup who could play when Jabril Peppers was out, but not anything of note, and not even really somebody that you thought was going to do a whole lot this year. We thought this was going to be, again, the Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers show. And for him to come out and play the way that he has, to be a guy who can step up and be physical and be good against the run, but also still provide speed on the back end, be a big hitter. He's gone from being a, maybe okay backup to, and PFF is not everything, but he's Pro Football Focus's number 6 overall safety right now. Like, that is crazy to go from not playing to a top 5, top 10 guy at your position. I don't think that we've spent enough time talking about the turnaround that Jalen Hawkins has had and what he's meant to this defense.
I love that pick. I think that is the perfect encapsulation of what we're looking for here out of improved players, because it's not just he made a second to third year leap or a first to second year leap. This is a guy who was a journeyman and played in a bunch of different systems and just really didn't stick anywhere. He would stick around for a little bit and then they would replace him and he would have to go find a new home. And for him to be able to not only find a home, but be a guy who plays like you said, 90% of the snaps, and he's one of their most trusted people on the back end is very impressive. I've got another guy on the back end, and I think it's not so much that he wasn't already a good player, but for Marcus Jones to kind of reach his final evolution and his greatest form this season, not only defensively, but as a punt returner, he's housed a couple, and he's been I'd say the preeminent slot option in the NFL. And for a team who runs like 75% nickel defense, and he's out on the field a lot, for him to hold up, not so much against Drake London, we'll take that, 3 or 4 snaps out of it, but everybody else, no matter their size, no matter who's been playing or who he's been lined up across, he's been the best, the very best in the NFL at that position. So for him to reach that form in year 4, to earn himself a contract extension, all my kudos to him. I think he's done a great job with that. Who do you got, Colin?
Yeah, Marcus Jones is actually who I was going to say, but since no one mentioned Kayshon Boutte, I'll take it. I think the separation metrics obviously elite, but Chad, like you said, who saw this coming, right? Who saw Kayshon Boutte being one of the preeminent deep threat wide receivers in the NFL this season? Nobody. I don't think anybody. Like, I definitely didn't. I don't know if any of your colleagues or yourself, Chad, at The Athletic saw this one coming, but look, Kayshon Boutte being able to be always open essentially down the field is incredible. And that being a part of this offense opens up Pop Douglas in the middle, Stephon Diggs when he settles down, Mac Hollins intermediate, Hunter Henry when he's open down the seam. All of these, great checkpoints of this offense, Kayshon Boutte being able to stretch the field makes a lot of that tick, makes a lot of that happen. And then, of course, Drake May putting it in the breadbasket 75% of the time, or 100% of the time, and then Boutte catching it, right? Like, this offense is so much better because of what he's been able to create. And I think most improved is just kind of the perfect award for him, just because, again, nobody saw this coming. The skill set was probably there. It just took a McDaniels offense in a cannon of an arm under center to make it happen. And it's just super special to see. Excited to see Kayshon Boutte get back on the field here down the stretch, too.
Rookie of the Year is going to be an interesting one, but I want to give a few rapid fire before we get there. We'll go left to right. Offensive Player of the Year, it's Drake May. I don't think there's any other option.
Cosign, Drake May. Send that one in.
All right, Defensive Player of the Year I think is a little bit more interesting. You've got the big-name guys like Milton Williams, Christian Gonzalez. I just think Robert Spillane, for what he's meant, for being the only linebacker that they trust. They run a lot of nickel, so he's kind of like the only guy out there a lot of the time. And for him to to play as well as he has. He's taking the ball away. He's making sure that everybody's in the right spot. And with this defense being what they are, a lot of leaky runs, guys that, might leak out of the backfield, and there should be openings, and he's been there to be able to play this style of defense and be the lone linebacker and be as good as he's been. He's been tremendous. So I'll give him that award.
I'm actually going with Spillane too, and I guess the only thing I would add is how much it's proved me wrong. Like, when they signed him and talked about their plan to stop the run being like, we're going to have this big Tonga guy that you haven't heard of, and Robert Spillane is just going to get a million tackles behind him. And then you look at the athletic profile of Spillane, and you look at Tonga's career, and I was like, no chance this is going to work. What are they doing? It's just not how you play defense anymore. And it's totally worked. Everything has gone perfect for that plan. Tonga's been unbelievable. Spillane's done everything you wanted. And while he is limited athletically, he is just always in the right place. And so that's like helped his pass defense, which I thought would be a big question and a place that he could be exploited. But you look up and he's just always like right in front of the tight end, or always where he needs to be. So I'm going with Spillane as well.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep there with you guys. I'll mention, obviously, Williams being, the premier run stuffer, one of the best D tackles in football. Marcus Jones leading the team in pass breakups and one of the best slot corners. Keegan, like you said, there's a lot of options here, which is great. But I think you guys kind of hit the nail on the head on the way that Spillane has taken command of the defense and the adjustments, especially from drive 1 to drives 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down the line every single game. A lot of that, of course, is due to coaching, but also the on-field adjustments. Spillane plays a really big part of that for New England.
We will have to be quick with Rookie of the Year, but I do want to get to it. I think Will Campbell, for me, has been outstanding. He's a guy who I was not a fan of during the draft process. I didn't think it was going to work, and he's proven me wrong. So shout out to Will Campbell. He's done a great job. Chad, who's your Rookie of the Year?
Same. Was skeptical coming out of the draft. It's Will Campbell. The offensive line being like a productive group is crazy. I'm going Will Campbell.
Yeah, I hate to be repetitive, but man, this O-line being able to actually be a mid-tier to good unit this season after being 31st and 32nd last year is amazing. Obviously, it not being a revolving door plays a big part of that. But Will Campbell, but his arm length, his arms are too short. Now, like this offensive line with obviously the Scarnecchia element and things like that has been able to be really sharp this year. Will Campbell is going to be an elite player on the O-line for years to come. He's come in there and been a good to great O-lineman so far this year. And as a rookie, that's really impressive, playing in a tough division. A lot of great edge rushers out there, and he's held his own.
Just like a good offensive line, we're all in lockstep. We've all agreed on most of the awards. So we have one more award to hand out, and it's the Best Guest Award. Thank you, Chad, for coming on and doing this with us. We really appreciate it.